Hi, I'm Rob,
And I'm Sandy.
and this is the Carter Chronicles. Today we are sharing with you some of our trips to the Copper River region of Alaska. Both times that we visited the area, we have traveled from Anchorage to get there. Now it takes about 4 hours to get to Copper Center from Anchorage and about 5 hours from Fairbanks.
Copper Center, where we stayed, is located about 30 miles south on the Richardson Highway once you reach the intersection of the Glen Highway at Glen Allen. The drive is so beautiful.
One of my favorite things about coming from Anchorage is seeing Mount Drum as you drive east on the Glen Highway. On a clear day, it's centered with the road, and it's almost too perfect to be real.
One of the main reasons for visiting this area was to visit Wrangell-St. Elias National Park and Preserve. Our first trip was in June of 2018, and we had driven over from the Kenai Peninsula that morning. So by the time we arrived, it was late afternoon, and we had just enough time to check out the National Park's Visitor Center, get our Junior Ranger book completed, and sworn in before they closed. The Copper Center Visitor Center is located at mile 106.8 on the Richardson Highway.
Wrangell-St. Elias is America's largest national park with over 13 million acres. It's about the same size as Yellowstone, Yosemite, and the country of Switzerland all combined. This can be a bit overwhelming, and access to the park can be challenging. So stop by one of the visitor centers or ranger stations listed on the website to have a ranger help you plan your trip.
The other reason for visiting the Copper River region was to do some salmon fishing. Copper River salmon are recognized as some of the best tasting salmon in the world. The reason for this is because the Copper River is so swift that the fish have to store extra fat and oils in order to survive the long trip. This high fat content gives the salmon a rich, bold flavor.
Our fishing guide was through Salmon Grove, located at 100 Old Richardson Highway in Copper Center. Check out their website for more information. They picked us up early in the morning, right from our hotel, and we were headed off on our adventure. That first time salmon fishing, we were on the Clutina River, which is a tributary of the Copper River and actually runs right along the lodge where we stayed.
It was the first time any of us had used a rod with a fly fishing reel, and it took a little bit of practice to get the rhythm and swing down. The current was so swift that as soon as you cast, felt the bumps along the rocks on the bottom, it was time to cast again. Our guide, Galen, was wonderful at instructing and was very patient with us. And although conditions, with the excess water from recent rain, weren't great for fishing, the experience was.
The experience was so good, in fact, that just Sandy and I went back in July of 2019 to try our hand at Copper River salmon fishing again. This time again, the weather was not on our side. The heat wave had the glacier-fed Clutina running really high and the Gulch running really low. So fishing on both rivers was pretty much a bust. I say pretty much because Sandy did catch one, and she likes to rub it in my face. A guy named Dan back at the campground offered to cook it for us, and within 15 minutes of having it filleted, we were enjoying some of the very best salmon that we've ever had. On our July 2019 trip, after waking up at 2 a.m. and a 12-hour day of fishing, Sandy decided it was a great idea to drive all the way down to Valdez for dinner. Yes, it's about a 2-hour drive down to Valdez, but it was a lovely 2-hour drive filled with mountains and waterfalls, so we could eat dinner. One of the big attractions in Valdez is the Salmon Gulch Hatchery that has been in operation since 1982. By the time we arrived, the hatchery was already closed, but we were able to see the salmon returning to spawn and the seals returning to eat.
We walked around the harbor and got to see some of the famous Valdez bunnies. They are so stinking cute. Then we ate dinner at the Fat Mermaid, a quaint but quirky little place right alongside the waterfront with really good food. We were so tired by the time we made it back to Copper Center that night, but I still think seeing Valdez was worth the trip.
So let's talk about where we stayed while visiting the Copper River area. First off, there aren't a whole lot of options being in this remote part of the state, but we absolutely loved where we stayed.
Owned and operated by the Princess Cruise Line Company, the Copper River Princess Wilderness Lodge is situated on a bluff right above the Clutina River and has a very impressive lobby. In fact, my favorite of all the places we stayed. It was so nice to come in from a long day and sit by the fireplace or grab a blanket and snuggle into one of the many chairs in front of the huge viewing windows. The grounds were really nice too. On our first night, we picked up a trail guide and walked around after dinner.
Most of our meals were snack-type items that we picked up at the grocery store while in Acreage. You know, the essentials, like squeezed cheese and Triscuits. But at least one meal a day, we wanted to eat something good.
Most of our meals out came from our hotel. It was close by, and with not much else around, it made it very convenient. But besides that, the food was delicious and reasonably priced for Alaska standards.
We would also like to note a local place that had some amazing burgers that was just down the road from our hotel, as well as Salmon Grove. And that place was called Nummy's. It's located inside the Old Town Copper Center Inn and Restaurant. You can check out their menu online at oldtowncoppercenter.com.
We hope you enjoyed this little bit of Alaska called the Copper River area. It's not seen by too many, and maybe that's what makes it such a great place to visit.
Speaking of places not seen by many, our next video, we'll be taking you with us on the Dalton Highway, where we drive north of the Arctic Circle.
Until next time, bye.